Hi everybody, welcome to another Best Game, Worst Game. Thank you, Rob, for joining me again.
No problem.
Today's topic is Best and Worst RPGs. So, we had a little bit of a discussion about do we do American RPGs and Japanese RPGs, but then Rob was like, I've played 2 RPGs in my life.
Two JRPGs in my life.
Yeah, so this will encompass everything.
Right.
Western, Eastern.
We can knock out JRPG right now. My best is Persona 4 Golden. My worst is when I'm not playing Persona 4 Golden. Done.
So, as usual, I always like to start with the bad news first, because, you know, just get the bad ones out of the way.
Get that negativity out.
Yep. So do you want to go first? Should I go first?
Sure, I'll dive into my worst. So, just to clarify, I didn't want to pick, like, the worst made, because that would obviously be, like, Alpha Protocol, or, you know, like, some of these no-name shovelware RPGs, because nobody's ever heard of them. I honestly never finished them, because they were all buggy and broken. So I wanted to go for, like, when I say my worst RPG, I meant it wasn't a bad game. It just didn't fulfill my needs as a role-playing game the way a role-playing game should.
Gotcha.
And for my worst, I'm kind of cheating and going across an entire series, and I'm going to say the Fable series is my worst RPG.
Okay.
And the reason for that is basically because, and it's interesting, because I actually really like a lot of the ideas of Toys With, but I feel like it's so inconsistent with them that it does the one thing that any video game is supposed to avoid at all costs, which is it pulls me out of the immersion. It makes me realize I'm playing a game. It doesn't immerse me into their world. And that's a shame, because I actually really like the Fable universe. I like the style and the tone and everything. But I feel like every time there was a mechanic, it was a novelty mechanic. And that's sort of a shame, because it created both a game that never immersed me, and as a result, never left me with any memories. Like, I played Fable 1 through 3. I played them. I think I played Fable 1 twice, and I barely remember much of the plot. Like, I remember a lot of the gameplay sort of quirks that they threw in there, that Peter threw in there, but, like, I don't remember the game as an experience as compared to, like, something like Fallout 3, which I can remember that experience so vividly, and it's gonna stick with me. So for those reasons, I would say the Fable games are my worst RPG.
So it's interesting, because I had a tie for my 2 worst, and now you're going to make this easy for me, because one of them was Fable 3. So I can probably talk more about the other one, but I quickly just want to say that I actually am a big fan of the first Fable. Felt so-so on the second one, and then 3 just lost me completely. I felt like it went...
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
Because it introduced such an interesting... I thought the element of playing the first part of the game as an RPG and the second part as sort of like managing the city was, like, really cool, but it just... I don't know. It didn't hit the mark.
It just didn't feel like a Fable game to me at that point. It didn't have this... I just didn't have the same sort of experience as I did with 1. But if we put that aside, then my worst RPG, and again, I'm doing this sort of the way that you are, that, like, it didn't fulfill what I expected, was Diablo 3. I'm one of those people who, like, grew up on Diablo. I used to watch my dad play the first one. It's weird that he actually got me into those games. It's, like, a weird thing to say. Loved 1, loved 2. I was one of those people that was playing it years after it came out. Like, there was still a great community around it. 3 came out. I was all excited, like, oh my god, there's a third one. We haven't had one in years. And it just fell flat. Like, it didn't have the story of 2. The areas weren't all that unique or interesting. It was very short. It was, I don't know, it just didn't... I played it, I finished it, and I was done with it. Which is like, Diablo 2, I spent so much time going back and making new characters and running through again and playing with people, and just that game had such a long life for me. And Diablo 3 was just... I don't know, it was just lacking. Yeah, it was like, it's hard for me to explain it. It was just lacking the heart of Diablo 2 to me.
Now, 2 questions. Have you replayed it since they've changed it? And
I
2,
haven't.
have you played Torchlight?
Yes.
Which is supposed to be like its spiritual successor.
Yes. So I have not played Diablo 3 since they changed it. Maybe I'll give it a chance. I have played Torchlight 1 and 2, and... did really enjoy those more than 3, but not more than Diablo 2. All right, so let's move on to our best. So
Okay.
you take it away since you started.
So I'm going to throw 2 honorable mentions out there. One of them I left out because it's technically not a video game. It's a game. And that's obviously Dungeons and Dragons. Because
Fair.
as far as role-playing games go, for me, a role-playing game is the game that is most immersive and lets you feel like you're creating and being a character. People talk about leveling up mechanics and combat mechanics, and that's less important to me than immersing me in a world. And yeah, you can argue that like a really good like adventure game could do that, but I think a role-playing game offers a certain amount of freedom that is different from an adventure game, and I think D&D does that like head over tails. It's just amazing. It's fun. We've played. It's a blast.
Yeah.
But it is not a video game. My second honorable mention was going to be Fallout 3 because I just love that game so much. It's like one of my favorite video games. But I decided to leave it out because I feel like people have heard me praise Fallout enough. So the choice I went with for my favorite role-playing game, and this is going to be a weird one, is Pokemon Blue. Now,
it's a weird one. I was not expecting that from you.
Yeah, maybe I'm biased right now because they just came out on the 3DS as virtual console games and I've been replaying it. But like when I think back to my role-playing game experiences, that was it for me. Like that was the one that I was playing every day after school with my friends. And what's weird is that in the moment of playing, it felt like a video game. And so that might seem very, contrarian to what I was just saying. It didn't immerse me in the moment. But there was never a video game where after I would turn it off, I wanted it to be real so bad. Like I wanted to quit school to become a Pokemon master and collect all 151 Pokemon. And I played it obsessively, and it was one of the first games I played obsessively and put so many hours into. And it was just something where it registered on more than just me playing a game, and it was like a cultural thing with all my friends and as an experience as a whole. And it had the show that I tied in and I watched at the same time. So for me, Pokemon Blue is like my favorite RPG besides Fallout 3.
So I've never played a Pokemon game in my entire life. I somehow just missed that wave, like even when it was like just cards in elementary school, like I missed that. I missed the whole I also didn't have like a Game Boy. We talked about this. I had the Game Gear. I know, terrible. My parents were like, Game Gear, Game Boy, same thing, right? Like, no, Mom.
It's good.
It wasn't.
Builds characters. So you're gonna bulk up carrying that thing around a bit.
So I have an honorable mention as well, because when I was thinking about them, I was just like, man, this one game, like, I still love it. I still go back to it, but it's an older one, and it is Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo. That game definitely started like the whole Paper Mario thing, because Paper Mario is very much an RPG. It did it so well, and like as a kid, it was just so cool. Like I loved. There's a point where like Bowser joins you because he's not the bad guy in the game, so he like joins your party at one point. Like he lets go of his hate of Mario because he just wants his castle back.
Enemy of my enemy.
Yeah, and that blew my mind as a kid. And like Peach fights with you, and it had a great sense of humor that they also really carried over to Paper Mario. And I have gone back even now, like on emulators or on my Wii or whatever, and played it because I just think it's fantastic. And it came out of left field because who ever thought a Mario RPG would work, right?
I don't know. I never played it.
So my favorite, much like you talk about Fallout, and so we don't want to like, just beat a dead
Constantly.
horse.
Yeah.
So my real favorite is Bloodborne. But you guys have all heard that already. I talked about that in like my top games of last year. And so that far and away beats out any other RPG I've played. But that aside, my favorite would be Mass Effect 2. Because like you said about Pokemon, you wanted it to be real. I was playing Mass Effect going, God, I want this to be real. I want to be able to travel into space, and I want these like aliens to exist, and I want this world to exist.
You want to hang out with Seth Green.
I mean, I do in real life anyway, but it just, everything about it, I loved the characters, I loved the story. It definitely fixed a lot of things from one, and yet didn't go jumping the shark a bit like 3 did. Like, it was just that perfect, like, sequel. I obviously I love RPGs. We've talked about Knights of the Old Republic where you get choices and you get to be good or bad, and that affects your companions and the things that happen in the game. That's huge to me. The voice acting, well, aside from Male Shepherd, was really great. But yeah, that was a world that, like, I don't normally read video game books, like novels based on video games, but I read all of the Mass Effect books because I just couldn't get enough of that universe.
Yeah.
And so, for me, that was like, I could replay that game just a million times. It was fantastic.
Good. Go do it right now.
Right now. Just
get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are our best and worst RPGs. I mean, it's a huge genre. Like, there are so many RPGs.
We could do like 3 more of these.
We probably could. And it's my favorite genre, so I was having so much trouble just, like, picking a best. But if you have a best or worst that you want to talk about, you can let us know in the comments below. If you think that we're crazy for our choices, you can also let us know in the comments below. Or you can tweet us. I'm at IvyWinterYT, and Rob?
I'm at RobPlays.
You didn't sound very sure about that.
I was trying to do a smooth transition from your handoff, and I got caught. I stumbled. I tripped on it. I want to add, if you don't have a favorite RPG because you've never played an RPG, what are you doing? Go play an RPG.
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
Go play any of them. Go play Pokemon.
As long as you have a good, like, 200
$10.
hours, you know, just think it into an RPG. Yeah. No problem. All right. Thanks for joining me again, Rob, and thanks for everyone for watching. Bye.